just wanted to make a quick video. Right now I'm trying to get this bike in time, ignition timing. I have installed a Rae-San, and it's paired with my Ignitech. But since I did delete the pickups that are inside the rear case cover, I lost that timing mark, and I tried a couple of different things like putting welding wire or filler rod, TIG filler rod, kind of clamped onto the frame and then bent down into the inspection hole where I thought was in the middle. And I kind of rotated around, did that. I was somewhat confident in where it ended up. It was, pretty close. I was probably within 2 millimeters or so of where it needed to be, which I don't know at 4 inches how many degrees off that would be. But anyway, so researched a few things. I saw on MotoFaction's website that they had a link to these cutouts that you're supposed to put over the timing hole. Tried them. I couldn't really, I didn't think I could do it with the amount of accuracy that I wanted to, just because when you're looking at this, through a hole this distance, your, viewing angle will change, quite a lot, even at the roughly 1.5 inches down into that hole until you see that timing mark. So I didn't really want to use that, so instead I did what I normally do. Went over to the Fusion 360 and designed a part. So this part is 2 pieces. It's made to thread in just like a factory plug, only it is just like a sort of half moon. It's just over a half moon so that it will actually thread in and it won't like wobble out. Goes in, I've just kind of put these little lines along the back of it because these lines are perpendicular to this locking sort of pin, which goes with my pointer tool. I don't know, it's probably gonna be hard to make out, but this is the little locking piece. Once you thread this in, use these lines to reference it against the case half. You would then, let's see how I'm gonna do this. You would then take this piece, slide it down in from above, and it would kind of lock in place just like that. And then as you look down through the viewing port, all you're gonna see is kind of that pin. And then this is sitting right on top of the flywheel. There's a tiny bit of play. I'm not super concerned with that at all. If I need to, I can, tighten that tolerance up a little bit. I think it's like 0.1 millimeters on either side, which I usually use as kind of, anytime I know I'm gonna have a friction fit and I'm printing something, I usually give myself 0.1 or like 0.2 millimeters total across the surface. Which maybe, sooner or later I'll have to fine tune that a little bit because this is looser than I would prefer. A lot of that is just because this is also keying into that same kind of half moon because I just wanted to have as much visibility as possible. So yeah, we'll try to thread this in there and show you what it looks like. All right, so as you can see here, we got the Rae-San back there, the inspection cover that you would remove to normally check your timing. And again, if you're like me, you don't have the timing marks anymore because you removed the pickups. And then, yeah, this guy will hopefully just kind of start threading in. I've done this a couple of times, so I know that the threads sort of start at the top here. It'll just go in just like that. And I don't know if I can get a hole or turn out of that now. So we'll go in something like that. You can kind of visually just look at those lines in relation to the case half, or if you've got one of these handy little metal rules, I've probably had this thing for, I don't know, 15 years now at this point. You can take it down here and just kind of measure. So like I got 23 millimeters to the case half to this line, and probably about the same there. Close enough anyway for the video. And I would just take this guy, drop it down in there, keyed portion facing the keyed, other keyed portion, and just go in. And it kind of like locks in. It doesn't really move that much once it's in there. And then what I found that worked, and maybe if when I upload this file, if people want to you know, print this out of whatever material. You could probably do a PETG and you could do a clear, but this method seems to work just as well. I just take my trusty Icon flashlight, put it right on the top of that, and it kind of just like glows and lights the entire hole. Yeah, looks pretty gnarly, I suppose, in the video, but let me pop my phone out of this holder and see if we can look down in there. Of course, this is the hard part. Sorry if this gets all twisted and goofy, but you can kind of see it glows real nice. And there's my fire right mark. But yeah, that's it. We'll see. I've been having some interesting issues with timing. I'm hoping to get this thing fired up sooner or later. I have some other problems I need to address. Like, it's kind of chilly in my garage. I do have 2050 in it for engine oil, and earlier this year when it was still warm out here, my starter clutch was fine, but now that it's cooler out here, I am having some considerable slippage on my starter clutch, which means, you know, I probably should pull the rear case cover off and replace the springs and make sure the rollers are fine. I mean, all of this stuff looked fine when I slapped it back together last time, but I didn't actually check like free length of those springs. But otherwise, like, it's, you know, it's pretty close. We're getting really close to firing. I think one tip that I have for the Rae-San is I do this all, and like, you know, whole thing's kind of a mess right now because I've kind of been troubleshooting. But when I do most of the stuff on the bike, I use one of these power supplies. I think they're just super handy. And I had powered the Rae-San just using this, which is fine, but just to line it up and, you know, adjust the plate or whatever so that the timing marks are right on, or the LEDs turn off at the right time. But what I noticed was I was kind of like, all right, well, shoot, this thing's timed. Let's see if I can light a fire in it. And as soon as I hooked up the Ignitec software and turned it over, I was getting a pickup polarity issue. And of course, I took to the internet, Googled it. I was like, oh God, do I have? Because it's an unlisted video because it wasn't a complaint or anything like that. But I did have an issue with like a manufacturing defect with my Rae-San that I did fix myself. It was just a missoldered point, no big deal. But I was kind of worried at that point, like, oh no, like what else is potentially wrong with this thing? But anyway, as it turns out, for whatever reason, if your Ignitec is not, if your Rae-San is not sharing the same ground as the Ignitec, so when I was using the power supply was giving it a power and a ground, you can get a potential issue like that, because as soon as I kind of just like shared the ground to my Ignitec ground, the polarity issue went away. And while I do get some pops and bangs out of this thing, it is far from even idling yet. Hard telling. I kind of want to maybe pull the carbs back apart too and just double check my bench sink. So just going in there with feeler gauges and making sure that the butterflies are open the same amount. But yeah, it's like, so far it's like running on, you know, maybe one cylinder's getting warm. But yeah, I don't know. It's getting close. I'm getting pretty jazzed. You know, the turbo has been spinning, even running off just one cylinder. So it's been in there trucking along. But unfortunately, we're just not to the point yet where I can even get the carbs synced or get them both, firing, if you will. But I did only recently figure out the Rae-San issue too, so I haven't spent a lot of time out here trying to fix the rest. But yeah, that's really all I got. One of these days I'll have to do like a nice walk around of the bike and just kind of point things out, design things. But yeah, that's all I got. Talk to y'all later.